Reppin' Philly ain't a choice, it's a way of life. PhillyGoat.com is your one stop shop for Philly pride. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. Look fresh, stay Philly, Philly Goat. Go Birds. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for May 12th, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. It is Tuesday. You know what that means. Time for a little motivation / positivity brought to you by the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to clashingconferences.com to see how you can join and get involved today. They offer a wide variety of ways to get involved. Also can help you with your multimedia needs. And of course, at this day in Philly sports history, we are proud members of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. And this one ties in exactly with what we were talking about. I stumbled upon this the other day on social media. And the quote is, "You will always regret the waiting. You will never regret the day you tried." And I love this because it's never the right time to try something new. It's never the right time to start this. It's easy to say, oh, I'll start Monday, or I'll start at the end of the month, or I'll start next year. If you continue to wait, it's never going to be the right time, and you'll always find yourself waiting and pushing whatever it is you're trying to do back a couple days, couple weeks, couple months, whatever it is, and you're missing out on opportunities. So the key here is you'll never regret trying it, because one of two things is going to happen. It's either going to work out and you'll be successful, or it might not go the way you think, and then you can always just readjust, try again. But the key is to try whatever it is, whether it's getting your financial situation in, starting a workout routine, eating better, even saying you're sorry, or making amends with somebody you've wronged. It's never the wrong time. And you're going to find the more you wait, it's never going to be the right time. So just make it the right time, and then you go from there. I think, like I said, it works in all aspects of life. And don't let the fear of discomfort, that uncomfortability, don't let that stop you. Because I think a lot of times what happens is we play out these scenarios in our minds, and it's never nearly as bad as what you think it's going to be. As long as you're putting in effort, that's all that matters. Regardless of the outcome, put the effort and try. And you'll never regret trying, and it's better to try it and fail than live with the regret of not trying something. So no matter what it is, applying for a new job, talking to someone who you want to be friends with, or date, or whatever, getting your anything, try it. What's the worst that can happen? Doesn't work out, but at least you know, and you're armed with the knowledge of why it didn't work out to make a better effort the next time. So hopefully that is something you can take with you throughout your weeks. You will always regret the waiting. You'll never regret the day you decided to try. That is Tuesday motivation / positivity, brought to you as always by the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to theclashingconferences.com, see how you can get involved, and of course, check out their podcast. There's a couple different ones going on right now, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. All right, so lots of feedback about not necessarily me going in, as one person called it, on Tyrese Maxey, but just the fact that a lot of the feedback I got yesterday was I let Joe off the hook. And look, this season there's plenty of blame to go on Joe. There's always been questions about his off-season workout habits and whether he came in fully prepared and all that. So look, Joe certainly deserves some blame for this season. I was talking specifically for the Knicks series, who Joe essentially was the one guy who showed up each game. But the bottom line is, no matter who you got to put the blame on, nobody played well. And that's the thing. And then the other piece of feedback I got was, how come it was different from Flyers got swept too? And it was sort of like, oh, the future is bright, this and that. And truthfully, it's because it is. And I look at it like this. As a parent, you have with multiple kids, you tend to readjust and have your expectations based on what potential is, what the what I guess what you expect, because everybody is different, every team is different, every situation is different. My kids get on me all the time, like, how come you don't get on her about that? How come you don't get on him about this? And it's because the expectations are different for both kids based on what they're able to do, where they're at, and the situation. And it's the same thing with the Flyers and the Sixers. Look, the Sixers, we've been doing this for 10 years now. This is the 10th out of 11 or whatever the number is that we've not gotten past the second round. We've not made a conference final. So maybe going into the playoffs, the expectations for both teams were the same, but you kind of have the history there with the Sixers. Flyers haven't been in the playoffs in 6 years. So, of course, it's going to be different. Now, next year, expectations are going to be different. It's not going to be the feel-good story. It's not going to be we had 3.8% chance of the play. No, if they get to that point next season, it's going to be a disaster. It's not going to be a good season. So I think that's where you kind of stand with them and why everybody is not as down on the Flyers. And truthfully, with the way the Sixers are constructed next year, you're going to have essentially the same team for the most part. You're not going to be able to trade Joe without giving up draft picks that will mortgage the future and really hurt where you're trying to go with this. You're likely not going to be able to get rid of Paul George. So those two guys, at least for next year, are going to be here. You have VJ, you have Maxey, which is good. I would love to see them bring Kelly Oubre back, but who knows? And the rumors are, I'll take it with a grain of salt because I saw this from Howard Eskin, who I think is 50-50 at best when he puts things out like this, but said that they're seriously evaluating Daryl Morey's job. I don't really see, I think he and Nick Nurse are both going to be back next year. And I guess the thing is, if you get rid of Daryl Morey, that kind of changes everything. And then whoever comes in, is he going to want to blow it up? Does that mean everybody is on the table with the exception of VJ Edgecombe? So I don't know. We'll have to see kind of what happens with that. I don't see either one of them going, but it's going to be a busy offseason. You have the 22nd pick. Now, Daryl Morey has shown in his past that he's not afraid to trade picks if it's going to improve the team. But in his time with the Sixers, he's done pretty darn well with drafting. So we'll see what happens. But that's kind of like my take on that. Like, yes, Joe is to blame for this season too. I was talking specifically about the Knicks series. And speaking of Joe, a lot of talk about his press conference after the game, talking about his family. And so I guess the question is, and of course his quotes were taken out of context, which a lot of media members tend to do. He was asked specifically about his legacy with the Sixers, and he's basically said, I don't care about that. I have my wife, my kids. I'm good. And that, I think, is a change in sort of attitude from where Joe has been in his career. So the fact that it is what it is to him, I think it's a good thing. I mean, I don't take anything negative about that. I think he's saying he's not dumb. He listens. He's probably thinking, all right, am I going to be back here next year? And whatever. So I think people are just, I think To me, Joe falls in the category of guys like Ryan Howard and Donovan McNabb, who we look back at Donovan. Most of us look back at Donovan and appreciate what we had when he was the quarterback here. Same with Ryan Howard, and didn't necessarily appreciate them when they were here. And I think it's going to be the same with Joe. So I think people are just picking at anything. And that's just the way it is, because of the history there. And again, that's why the expectations were different with the Flyers. 10 years worth of second round exits. And kudos to the Flyers organization, Briere, Keith Jones, Dan Hilferty, as well as Rick Tocchet, who made a good, heartfelt post to the fans, thanking them for their support, specifically during the playoffs. And again, that building was rocking. There's nothing like Flyers hockey in the playoffs. And I think as a team, what they need to do is capitalize on the momentum they have. And I think we all know the players on the Eagles. We all know the players on the Phillies. For better or worse, we know the players on the Sixers. I think what the Flyers need to do, if I was their PR team, get those guys out there. Have them show up to events. Reach out to Jason Kelce. Have them, some Flyers guys, go to his thing he does down in Sea Isle and make them household names, because that's the only thing that's going to get people to stay interested in the Flyers. The casuals, after that nice playoff run, is get them out there. Let people see their personalities. So, Flyers, if you want to hire me, I would gladly come work for you. Just give me some tickets and let's get those guys out there. And even more important, if you want to have one of the guys hop on my show, let me know. I got plenty of room, plenty of ideas. So that's, to me, what the Flyers need to do. All right, Phillies open up a 3-game set up in Boston tonight. They'll be there through Thursday. Zach Wheeler tonight, Andrew Painter tomorrow, and Jesus Luzardo on Thursday. You got to just keep going. 2 of 3. Take 2 of 3, and you move on to the next series. I think we're early enough still in the season where you don't have to start worrying about chasing down the Braves, who are up like 9.5 games and still playing red hot. You don't have to worry about jumping over wild card teams right now. Win series, get to 500, and then come Memorial Day, then we'll kind of see where we're at and we'll reevaluate what everything's going. Pretty cool thing, I guess you could say, is Thursday, Phillies will be facing former Philly Ranger Suarez. So would love to beat Ranger on Thursday. And I like Ranger, don't get me wrong. All right, it's NFL schedule leak season and things are starting to come out. Eagles will be playing in Dallas on Thanksgiving. First time in 10 years, only the third time ever. Eagles, of course, have won both games. Bounty Bowl, back with Reggie and all those guys, as well as the Mark Sanchez game back in 2014. I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to having the Eagles play in Dallas every Thanksgiving. I think that would be fun. I think it would add a little spice to the rivalry. And by the same token, I would love to see the Packers or the Lions play the Packers or the Bears every Thanksgiving too. I know they try to switch up the teams, and now that they have the third Thanksgiving game, you can have 2 rotating teams every Thanksgiving. But Eagles-Cowboys should be every Thanksgiving. That's just my take. But I'm sure before the official release on Thursday, there'll be a lot more leaks. There's rumors that they could be in London to play the Jags this year. Christmas Day is still in play. Probably would be a home game on Christmas, which won't be going to that. But Eagles, we'll have more on the Eagles schedule leaks as it come out. But I like playing Thanksgiving, 4:30 against Dallas. You eat an early dinner, you eat a late dinner, you eat dinner during the game, whatever you got to do. Eagles Cowboys though, and especially with the way everything is shaping up this year, it should be a very meaningful game that late in the season. I like it. Let me know your thoughts on that though. Should the Eagles play the Cowboys every year on Thanksgiving? 267-495-8531. I like it. Like I said, I think if you're going to have the Cowboys and Lions play every Thanksgiving, put a division rival in there. And like I said, what better way to start off Thanksgiving is Lions, Packers, and then Eagles, Cowboys? Come on now. All right. Yesterday's trivia question, we talked about Pete Rose going for the stolen base cycle in 1980 for the Phillies. What other Phillies have achieved that? Only 3. Sherry McGee did it in 1906. Pete Rose, of course, in 1980. And Jason Worth in 2009. So thanks to everybody who reached out about that. Lots of guesses, lots of good guesses too. Obviously, J-Roll was guessed a lot. Juan Samuel was guessed a lot. Von Hayes had a couple of guesses too. And of course, the obligatory one person, no matter what I ask, always says Dale Murphy. And no, Dale Murphy did not go for the stolen base cycle for the Phillies. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Continue to spread the word as we grow this. If you are new here, welcome. Glad to have you. Will be another new Brotherly Birds breakdown coming out this week. Kyle and I will look at the schedule leaks as well as recap and give our takes on the Eagles draft. Of course, the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame blog, that link is in the description. Working, hopefully, everything gets recorded and done tonight on the first Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame blog I'm doing with my boy Steve. As I have details for that, I'll get that out to you. And of course, since I'm traveling today for testing, probably will be a takes from the truck coming on all my social media at some point as well. But I'm also very pleased to announce that this year I'm once again partnering with Beach Caddy. And Memorial Day is coming up, the unofficial start to summer. Everybody's going to start going down the shore. Beach Caddy has you covered. This is probably the best thing. The biggest pain in the ass about going to the shore is setting your stuff up on the beach or moving in or both. And you got the kids running around anxious to be playing at going to the beach. It's hot. You got to go in, turn on the air conditioner, wait for everything to cool down. You're sweating as you're unpacking. Beach Caddy has you covered for the summer. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery. They got you covered for your move-in, move-out service. So if you're going down for a full week, they'll move all your stuff in. They'll pack up your car at the end of the week. You get 10% off of that. And then, of course, nobody has them. I've seen people at the beach. You're either bringing the wagon or that cart with the small plastic wheels like my father-in-law does every year and just struggles in the sand. Beach Caddy has the best beach carts on the beach. Go rent a beach carts for the week. You take 10% off of that. It's available in Ocean City, Sea Isle, Avalon, Stone Harbor, or Wildwood. Go to beachcaddy.app. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your move-in, move-out service. They call it the bellhop. And beach cart rentals for the week. They got you set. Takes all the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. So go to beachcaddy.app and use the promo code Jim Montgomery. Take 10% off your move-in, move-out, as well as beach cart rentals for the week. And that's good throughout the summer. So tell them Jimbo sent you. Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com. Use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com. Promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin. All right, May 12th. First, let's go back to 1974. And after splitting both games in Boston, the Flyers return home for Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals, the friendly confines of the Spectrum. 4 different Flyers scored in this game, and Bernie Parent saved 24 of 25 shots he saved. Only Jesus saves more than Bernie Parent as the Flyers go up 2-1 in search of their first ever Stanley Cup. But Flyers beat the Bruins 4-1 to go up 2-1 in the Stanley Cup final, halfway to their first Stanley Cup. Fast forward all the way to 1987. Phillies lose to the Astros 5-2 in Houston. Mike Schmidt, though, went 1 for 4 with an RBI and scored one of the Phillies' 2 runs. It was his 1,366th run scored in his career, breaking Ed Delahante's team record for runs scored. So Mike Schmidt sets a Phillies record for runs scored despite the Phillies losing 5-2. And that leads us perfectly into today's trivia question. Who are the top 5 leaders in career runs for the Phillies? So who are the top 5 run scorers in Phillies history? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531 or the Discord channel, which is in the description. But let me know, is it Mike Schmidt or did he drop down? Let me know. All right, fast forward then to 2005. Phillies lose to the Reds 7-5, but Bobby Abreu hit a home run for the 5th consecutive game, tying the team record. And we talked about this earlier in April. He shares it with Chase Utley, who did it twice, Mike Schmidt, and I can't remember who the other one was now. But either way, Bobby Abreu, 5 straight games with a home run on this day in 2005. He had himself a May. For the month of May that year, he hit .396, 5 doubles, 11 homers, and 30 RBI en route to being the player of the month in May. And then 1 year later, Cole Hamels made his much-anticipated debut for the Phillies, once again against the Reds out in Cincinnati. Didn't disappoint. 5 innings pitched, gave up 1 hit, struck out 7, walked 5. But unfortunately, the bullpen blew the lead, but they were aided by Ryan Howard and Shane Victorino home runs as the Phillies beat the Reds 8-4 in Cole Hamels' debut. And Cole was off to the races, had a solid season in 2006, and then broke out in 2007. And then 3 years later, in 2009, Phillies beat the Dodgers 5-3, and much like Pete Rose did 29 years earlier, almost 29 years to the day, Jason Worth had the stolen base cycle in the 7th inning. He added another one to tie the club record for stolen bases in a game. So not only did Jason Worth have the stolen base cycle in the game, almost 29 years to the day that Pete Rose did it, he added a 4th, tying the team record, tying Cherry McGee, who did it twice, and Gary Maddox, who did it once. But Jason Worth, 4 stolen bases in the Phillies. This is what happens when I start recording at 5 a.m. But Jason Worth, 4 stolen bases in the Phillies, 5-3 win over the Dodgers. And then in 2019, it was perhaps the closest that the Sixers during the Embiid era came to making the conference final. It was Game 7 up in Toronto. And you know how it ended. Kawhi Leonard shot a 20-footer at the buzzer that bounced 4 different times on the rim before going in, giving the Raptors a 92-90 win. Kawhi was just a beast that day, had 41 points, including that game winner. All 5 Sixers starters scored in double digits, led by Joe, who had 21. But man, I remember this well. We were hyped up. It was one of the first years, maybe the second year we were down at the Outer Banks. We were all pumped up, ready to watch the game. It was the night we moved in. And then just kind of, we were all set to watch some conference finals games during the week. And Kawhi said, not so fast, my friend. But Sixers lose Game 7 when Kawhi's 20-footer bounced 4 times off the rim to go in at the buzzer, 92-90. And that was, like I said, that was the closest they came to a conference final. Maybe you can count the Atlanta series when Ben disappeared from the moment. Had he made that layup, you never know. But man, that was peak Sixers being a fun team to watch. And then finally today, our Philly connections. Herb Adderley, a 6-time NFL champion, both Super Bowl and NFL championship, a Pro Football Hall of Famer from Philadelphia. A lot of people don't realize that Herb was from Philly. After he retired, though, and this is what a lot of people don't know, he joined the broadcast team and broadcast Eagles and Temple Owls games. He also was an assistant coach at Temple, as well as an assistant for the Philadelphia Bell of the World Football League. Herb also is probably best known for the class action lawsuit that he actually won against the NFL. As a retired player, he thought it was the pension plan was just terrible. And then this is during the time of Madden and Tecmo Bowl when the name, image, and likenesses were kind of happening on those video games, and he felt that the retired players were getting cut out of their piece of the pie. Went and actually won his case, allowing the retired players to get a cut of those royalties. But Herb Adderley, a 6-time NFL champion for the Packers and Cowboys, from Philadelphia, Pro Football Hall of Famer, assistant coach at Temple, assistant coach for the Philadelphia Bell, as well as broadcaster for Temple and the Eagles, is today's Philly Connections. And again, I think he's one of those guys that sort of is like Earl the Pearl Monroe, who had success at other places that you never realized that he was from Philly. On this day in 2019, Sixers lose to the Raptors in Game 7 when Kawhi Leonard bounces a ball 4 times at the buzzer, ending the best shot, I think, for the Sixers to go to the conference final during the Joel Embiid era. 2009, Phillies beat the Dodgers 5-3. Jason Worth, stolen base cycle, as well as 4 stolen bases in the game, tying the Phillies team record. Cole Hamels makes his debut in 2006, pitches 5 strong innings as the Phillies beat the Reds 8-4. Phillies lose to the Reds a year earlier. Bobby Abreu, though, homered for the 5th consecutive game. And in 1987, Mike Schmidt set the Phillies team record for career runs scored. And the Flyers go up 2-1 in the Stanley Cup Final on this day in 1974. We'll have more on the Phillies, Red Sox, any Eagles schedule leaks, any news and notes and rumors about Daryl Morey. I fully expect something to be with the draft probably a month and a half away. I think if you're going to make a change, you got to make it soon. So anything that comes up, I will have for you tomorrow. And remember, you always regret the waiting. You'll never regret the day you decided to try. So go out, try something this week, and make the most of your opportunities. Don't wait on the sidelines for the perfect time, because newsflash, the perfect time's never going to come. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for May 12th, 2026. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.